These four operators solve some of the most common building patterns in Bubble: saving and toggling items, formatting yes-no logic, ranking users in a list, and handling empty fields. Two of them are brand new, and two are existing operators that just got significantly expanded. Let's walk through all four. You can jump ahead to the next timecode to get started, or first, for any Bubble beginners out there, what are operators and what are dynamic expressions? One of your go-to building blocks for creating apps in Bubble will be dynamic expressions. You can think of them like live formulas that update in real time based on user input, database updates, and other changes in your app. This is a big part of what makes Bubble truly no code. You can program any part of your app to any level of complexity by customizing and stacking these expressions, whether you build by hand or with the Bubble AI agent. Just like a sentence is made up of subject, object, and verb, dynamic expressions consist of three main components: data sources, operators, and comparisons. Perhaps the most diverse of these components are operators. Operators are pre-packaged functions you add at the end of an expression segment to modify whatever it already returns, and Bubble comes with a large library of them for all kinds of contexts right out of the box. Let's take a closer look at some of them now. First up, toggle item. So before this operator existed, if we wanted to add or remove data from a list, we would need two workflow paths on the same element and conditional statements to dictate which one gets triggered when. Now, we have toggle item. So here I've built an animals board. This repeating group displays a global list of animals. I even set up a very simple API call to Giphy to grab a GIF relevant to the animal's name. Each cell has a save button that lets the current user choose which animals they love, and this is what we want to focus on. What we want is simple. We want to click the button once to save the animal as a favorite, and we want to click it again to remove it. So I'll go ahead and go to the interaction tab and I'll add a new workflow on this button. And what we'll select is under account, let's make changes to the current user. So under the current user, I have actually created a favorite animals list field. And here's where our operator will come in. And I want to show two places that the operator lives. It just depends on your use case. So first, right off the bat, I can see an option to toggle right here. This is toggle item. So I would just say toggle the parent group's animal, and that would complete the expression. Simple as that. Toggle item is also available deeper into expressions. So hypothetically, let me just reset this. Favorite animals, let's say for some reason we wanted to set the list instead. So in this case, what I would set it to would be what the list previously was, current users' favorite animals, and then toggle item, the parent group's animal. That also works. So now if the animal is already in the list, this button removes it, and if it isn't, this button adds it. One action handling both and culminating in the final list after the change. So actually, let's go ahead and preview. I see cheetah. I'll go ahead and click save animal for there. And now we can see that the heart icon has changed. That is based on a conditional that I've applied to the button just for that visual feedback. And in fact, if I click it again, it unsaves it. Simple as that. That's toggle item. I do see that maybe I can have a little bit more visual feedback from that button beyond just the icon changing. We'll talk about that with the next operator. Next up, formatted as. For a while, Bubble has had a version of this, but we've been limited to only formatting a yes-no state as either text or number. Now this operator has been expanded to allow a lot more options. So let's check out a simple one together. We'll stick with our animals board. As we saw, the save button is working, and we even have the icon changing conditionally, but I'd like to see more of a change. Maybe the button's color, maybe the text next to the icon. So let's first go ahead and create a yes-no expression dynamically. So instead of save animal, let's first check if the current user's list of favorite animals contains parent group's animal. If I preview, we'll see that this expression now checks if this is true and returns a yes, no. So if I click the button, it is yes. If I unclick it, it's no. Great. But after this, we can add the formatted as operator. And this is where things have expanded. So I'm going to take a quick detour. I'm going to go to the data tab and show you that I have created an option set called Save State button. And in it, I have captured a display text field, a color hex code value, and even a tooltip text field. So now if we go back to our button, I can easily reference all of those fields with a single formatted as operator, because formatted as now accepts all of these possibilities, including option sets. So I'll just go ahead and format it as my save state. And if it's yes, then we want to go with the saved option. And if it's no, we want to go with the unsaved option, right? And now this is the important part that's worth understanding. This expression is now returning an actual save state option, not a piece of text. So we need to take the expression further, otherwise we're going to get an issue. Thankfully, all we need to do is just pick one of these attributes that is connected to our option set. So I'll pick display. And that's actually all I need to do. Even better, I can now copy this entire expression, and let's go down to the background. We'll make it dynamic. And I'll right click and choose paste expression. And instead of display, let's have it choose the correct color hex. And we saw that we had an attribute in the option set for tooltip. So I'm actually just going to do the same thing here as well. We'll add dynamic data, paste the expression, and instead of display, we will select tooltip text. So that's it. I'm done. The save state already has the correct options selected for yes and no. So if we preview, we can see that it is now dynamically pulling the correct hex code value for an unsaved state. It is even showing the text label unsaved. And if I hover over, we can see that tooltip text, click to save for favorites. Now, if I click, all of the dynamic properties have changed appropriately. That's one expression that is driving all of those properties thanks to the formatted as operator. And that's honestly just barely scratching the surface, because this was just showing a way to store several pre-baked text fields in one. But as you can see in this drop-down menu, you're not just limited to text. You're not even just limited to option sets. You can do data types. You can do files. You can even do APIs. So a super powerful operator that just got even more powerful. Okay, next up, index of. Before this operator existed, if you had data somewhere in a list and you wanted to know its place in the list, you might have to figure out a kind of roundabout expression that manually pulls the placement in that list. Now, with index of, we can pull it easily, and it's calculated in real time. Let's see it in action. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a different build. What I did here is I had the Bubble AI agent build me a simple leaderboard, which gave us a repeating group here of users ranked by how many upvotes their posts have collectively received, who got the most number of upvotes. Above that, I wanted to have a card that shows the current user where they are within that ranking. So if this leaderboard only showed 10 names, but we ended up having a database of hundreds of users, even if you didn't show up in that leaderboard, you would still be able to know what place you were in. So here is that text element where I wanted to show that number. And let's go ahead and make that update. So first, I want to make sure that we are going to calculate the ranking in the same way that the leaderboard is calculating it. So if I just go to the repeating group real quick and look at how it's conducting this search for users, it's just searching for all users, and then it is sorting it by upvotes number. Descending is yes. So I would want to do the same thing. In this text element, let's just conduct the exact same search for users, and we'll sort it by upvotes number. Descending is yes. You might even be able to just pull the search that's already happening on the repeating group, but for tutorial purposes, we'll do it twice. So we're doing the same search for users sorted by upvotes, and really simple, I'll just add an operator here that I can see right here, index of. And you'll notice that the expression is giving me an issue, and that is because it just needs to know what item we're trying to get the index of. Very simply, the current user. So now if we preview, here I can see that my profile, Coral Chronicles, is rank number 4. And in fact, I can see that that is where I am on the leaderboard as well. So one thing to know here, bubble is 1 indexed, which means counting starts at 1, not 0, which in our case is perfect. We don't want the person at the top of the leaderboard to be ranked 0, we want them to be number 1. So our counting here is accurate, but just double check your own use case when using index of. Okay, last up, defaulting to. In the past, this operator used to be text only. Now it works across a lot more types. So anywhere your app might hit an empty field, you've got this as a clean fallback. Let's stay on this leaderboard for our last operator. So we're still here in this preview, and you'll see here that each row shows the user's avatar, but I can also see that not everyone has uploaded an avatar image. We're just getting a broken empty space in our design. Don't really love that. So this is what the defaulting to operator is perfect for. So on the image element, let's open up this expression. It's showing us parent group's user avatar. And what I can do here is I can now add defaulting to, and now it's just asking me what to fall back on if that field is empty. Now this expects dynamic data. So similar to what we did in a previous example, what I've done is I've created an option set called app defaults with 1 image attribute. So this is a nice pattern that we've set up. I can define a placeholder image here, and if I ever want to change it, I can just swap it in this one place and it will update that everywhere in my app that references this. So back in our design, let's point to that option set. What do we want to default to? Well, let's get an option. We'll select the app defaults option set. We'll select the placeholder avatar option, and the attribute we want from there is image. So now if I preview, there's my default image at play. So now everyone who has an avatar still shows theirs, and everyone who doesn't gets the placeholder. This is without any conditionals. We didn't have separate groups to designate empty states or anything like that. It's just referencing one option that we can always update later. Very lightweight. So that's 4 operators: toggle item, formatted as, index of, and defaulting to. 2 brand new and 2 expanded. I also want to just call out that almost all of these were shaped in part by suggestions from builders in the community just like you. Our team is always listening to your feedback in comments you share here on YouTube or on social media or in the forum. So please, if there's anything else that you'd like to see added to dynamic expressions or anything else in the editor experience, let us know. We're always listening. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.